Listen very carefully and follow my instructions. Prepare your brain for the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast.
I gotta tell you, being an entrepreneur, I will not go through the rest of my career without taking nootropics. Aniracetam, paracetam, modafinil, Noopept, uridyl monophosphate. I mean, phenylparacetam, forget it. You could always have a better brain.
The Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast is about to begin.
Episode number 82 of the Cortex Labs Nootropics podcast. Noopept's cholinergic properties finally revealed. Thanks so much for being with me. I am your host, Ryan Michael Bello. Thanks for listening. Check us out on the web at livecortex.com. That's where we have all these podcasts stored. livecortex.com/blog is where they all are. That's also a giant blog for nootropics information. I mean, a lot of folks spend a lot of time on the web, like on the nootropics subreddit, where people are like mean and angry all the time and treat you like crap for asking simple questions, looking for nootropics information, and a lot of it's super disparate and anecdotal. And there's really not many concentrated places where you can find good quality, nootropics information that's anecdotal and offers a scientific perspective as much as possible. That's got like as diverse content as we do, audio, blog posts, and videos. And you can find that at livecortex.com/blog. Couple announcements on product. We've got a bunch of nootropic products. You got the Cortex Nootropic Stack right now, which is 15th of July, 2018. You can get the bottle of the Cortex Nootropic Stack for $28. That's pretty cheap for what's being called the only pre-made stack that works. By using the coupon code 5, F-I-V-E, at livecortex.com, buy a bottle of a strong pre-made nootropic stack there called Cortex. If you need my help personally, we actually have a nootropics consulting service. That thing is hot. People all around the world get it. I mean, you can be in Ireland and get the nootropics consulting service. It's a 40-minute Skype call with me, 15 additional email correspondences to help you with nootropics, figure a stack out, help you study for your medical degree, whatever you need. And if you're new to nootropics, we wrote a book for you. It's called Smarter, Better, Faster. Teaches you how to surgically use nootropics, gives you many stacks. Okay. Oh, and just a quick announcement. We're working on taking Smarter, Better, Faster to audio. So there'll be effectively a private video link to what will be an audio version of Smarter, Better, Faster pretty soon. It's going to launch probably sometime mid-August. Okay, so let's just quickly talk. So the topic of this podcast, is going to be, pretty quick podcast, is trying to identify, is this the final explanation for the cholinergic effects of Noopept? Noopept is a Russian-based pharmaceutical nootropic compound that increases the expression of nerve growth factor and brain-derived neurotrophic factor. These are effectively neurotrophins. Compounds that improve neuronal survivability and repair and growth in various regions of the brain, generally the cerebral cortex, and then specifically the hippocampus, which is involved in memory. That's Noopept. You take it in pretty small doses. It's like it has similar mechanisms to paracetam, which is like a racetam that's pretty awesome. The paracetam you take in 1 to 4 gram doses, but Noopept you take in like 5 to 40 milligram doses. It's very small. Most folks find a sweet spot at 10 to 15 milligrams. But what people have found over time, oh, and by the way, it's very working memory inducing. Like I suggested to people for studying, I've used it to study. I actually took Noopept for like a considerable period of time, and it helped me to do reading comprehension better. I was always terrible at that. Like in school, I'd read a page or two of something, like a book or something. And then, on page 2, I don't know. I mean, I'd be able to read the last couple sentences, kind of remember what was going on, read the current sentence. But putting together what I had just read was basically terrible. Like when I was terrible at it, it was hard for me until I started taking Noopept and then went and did reading comprehension and tried to read scientific studies and found out that I could actually do it a lot better there. So I don't know if it repaired some of the mechanisms of my brain that underlie that. I'm not sure, but I mean, still to this day, I can actually read things and comprehend things. But it also is stimulatory. It also improves verbal fluency for some folks. For some people, it's going to make you want to focus. It's like a pretty cool nootropic compound. So that's Noopept. What people have found, though, and what I found, and what a lot of other people have found, what our consulting clients have found, what people on the web have found about Noopept, is that just like paracetam, sometimes it's better paired, and just like other racetams, aniracetam, oxiracetam, phenylparacetam, coliracetam, paramoracetam. It's better taken with a choline donor or an acetylcholine building block. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that helps you focus and is involved in memory and kind of excites the brain in various regions to make it perform better. It's involved in muscular contractions. Every time you go and work out, you burn a lot of acetylcholine. It's like this pervasive neurotransmitter in the human body and in the human nervous system. Well, people need to take choline, which is basically a dietary building block to acetylcholine, with Noopept, and they find that it works a lot better for them. That like the effects are better, the effects are more pronounced, and that they don't get side effects, because sometimes like taking Noopept for people, they'll get like weird focus issues. For some folks, like it'll do the opposite. They won't be able to focus at all. They'll kind of feel like weird and tired or something. But then taking some choline with it in its various forms, alpha GPC, CDP choline, or choline bitartrate, fixes the problem, makes it kind of a smooth setup, a smooth response. And there's always been discussion, like on the web, about the cholinergic effects of Noopept. Some people that aren't as detailed in the mechanisms that talk about this kind of stuff actually think it's just an acetylcholine precursor, and that's how they explain it. It's a building block to acetylcholine, and that's not true. But it's always been known, right, or thought to have effects on the cholinergic system, which is really just like any pathway in the brain that acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter, sort of fires through and activates. This I can't believe that we really overlook this. I've always basically just recognized and identified Noopept as cholinergically facilitating, facilitates the signaling of acetylcholine like racetams do, and that's kind of as far as I've ever explained it. And I do remember reading about what we're going to quickly discuss here, which is essentially what's being called a cholinosensitizing effect, basically a sensitizing effect on the delivery of acetylcholine. But it's not something that anyone's ever really talked about. And it's just like, it just kind of comes up. Like you hear it in the Reddit forums, like people are talking about Noopept, but they never really say like, here's exactly what is happening. It's only just sort of postulated that there's cholinergic properties to it. But here's basically the bottom line. On the examine page, and this is something that I guess people just sort of gloss over, because primarily, the mechanisms are like it's a prodrug for cycloprologlycine in the brain and increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor and nerve growth factor. But it says here, I'll read from this examine page. It says, additionally, it has been noted that Noopept appears to have a cholinosensitizing effect, as in isolated neurons from the helix palmatoia. Oh, wait, what is that? Helix palmatia, that Noopept stimulated the reaction of iontophoretic delivery of acetylcholine to the neuron. So basically what Noopept is doing is stimulating the reaction of delivery of acetylcholine to a particular neuron. So it's enhancing the cholinergic signaling of that brain in that particular process that's firing off in a person's brain, and that's what's happening. Then it goes on to say that mice, like with cholinergic deficits, like known cholinergic deficits, experience improvements in long-term memory in a test from taking Noopept. Okay, so we've got like studies that demonstrate that mice have positive cholinergic benefits from taking Noopept, and then we have like this proven reaction stimulation of the delivery of acetylcholine to neurons with Noopept. And that's crazy to me. It's just like the simple stuff that's so cool and fascinating and makes me want to talk about it, because again, like people are always wondering about what exactly is happening. And for some people, like, who cares? It's like, okay, can I take this compound and does it make me function better? Like, does it not give me side effects, and am I more productive as a result? Awesome. I don't care about the mechanisms. Who cares? You know what I mean? I was like that very early on until I was just like started to get to wonder, like, well, what the heck is really going on here? But to others, it's important to know, right? It's important to know exactly what's happening, so you can think about what are the downstream effects of this. Is this something sustainable that I can do for a long time, etc.? And for those of you that are wondering, basically the primary relevant things to know about taking Noopept as it relates to cycling is that the creators say you should cycle after 28 or so days. for some time and then kind of cycle back onto it. You shouldn't take it very consistently, although 28 days of use has been shown not to cause significant side effects in studies, some studies that were done, and also shows no tolerance, which is a pretty cool thing. But again, my perspective, and I guess Cortex Labs' perspective in general on cycling nootropics, is that you should do it. You shouldn't be taking anything consistently, because once you start to modify neurotransmitters significantly, consistently, the brain, what happens to the brain thereafter is sort of unpredictable, right? Whether it's tolerance that builds up, or if we're talking about like other compounds like perhaps racetams, et cetera, maybe even like affinils, or it's like side effects that, might arise from it, where your brain's telling you, hey, like, cool out. We don't need like extra dopamine. We don't need a bunch of more extracellular dopamine here, which is something that modafinil, would does to people. And so, like there's one study, I think it's on adrafinil, that demonstrates like mice got some facial muscle spasms after taking adrafinil for quite some time. That's probably because of this dopamine thing, right? So like that's why you should cycle on stuff, and that's kind of just my take on that. So I hope that this has been interesting to those of you that are really kind of interested in the mechanisms like I am, and kind of just want to understand like a little bit more of how to maybe explain it to people, or gives you more of a granular understanding of exactly what's happening when people say, oh, it facilitates acetylcholine in the brain. Really, it stimulates a reaction of delivery of acetylcholine to a given neuron, which I think is really super awesome. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Again, check us out on the web at livecortex.com, livecortex.com/blog, giant blog for nootropics information. The Cortex stack on sale for $28 right now. Coupon code 5, FIVE at livecortex.com. If you need my help personally on nootropics, on anything related to nootropics, we've got a consulting service. It's a 40-minute call with yours truly. And look, if you're new to nootropics and you want to learn like stacks and how to take nootropics and all this stuff that we're talking about, like to really improve your brain performance, and then like with a way to take nootropics that actually allows you to use them super surgically to get good performance, like using them correctly. We wrote a book on it. It's called Smarter, Better, Faster. It's digital, so you could like download it and start reading it right away. Buy it at livecortex.com. Coupon code 5 applies to everything and takes money off of every one of our products. We got much more nootropic products at the site. We got another stack launching soon, and keep your eye out for the audio version of Smarter, Better, Faster, which is launching mid-August. Thanks so much for being with me. Rock on. Talk to you next time.